Hello, I'm Jay Vincent, and this is Luck Fawyer's Institute.
I'm a trained motherfucker, step off the tracks!
An American Civil War is being programmed by the men behind the curtain. Let's observe the coding of that program. There are two rights that are diametrically opposed. One is the right of self-defense. Everyone has the right of self-defense. It is inherent in the biological and genetic code. This right cannot be legislated away. It is an actual right. The other right is the so-called right of qualified immunity. It is a right conjured by those in control, specifically judges. It has no basis in law. It is the right of one man to be God over another man or class of men. It is the highest empowerment for abuse and legalized terrorism to occur. Qualified immunity gives cops and judges the right to do whatever they want without accountability, as long as they claim their acts were lawful. Cops, judges, and bureaucrats claim that they are the law. Thus, it is implied that their every act is lawful, even when they rape you. There are rare cases when public outcry causes the authorities to hold someone accountable, but these are rare. These are exceptions. The rule is abuse. There are far more cases where judges and law enforcement commit egregious crimes, including physical and mental torture, without so much as a second look. Trying to find accountability is asking for more abuse in most every case. This goes double if you're poor, homeless, disabled, etc. Because of the internet and increasing video accounts of these abuses by law enforcement, the role of cops as terrorists is becoming undeniably problematic. Police cannot simultaneously claim to protect and serve while being exposed as occupying terrorists against their own neighbors. Beating, killing, and abusing unarmed, mentally challenged, or those who merely ask for accountability is not law enforcement. It is terrorism. Demanding to be called a hero and constantly claiming to be afraid for your life is mockingly idiotic. Judges, on the other hand, keep most of their crimes out of public view by banning audio recording in courtrooms. When judges control all of the narrative coming out of a court hearing, that hearing recording can be altered, erased, or lost. Judges are experts at psychological abuse. Judges are also proficient in covering their own asses. When judges are protected by court security with deadly force and yet refuse litigants the right to record, it should be obvious that they have something to hide. What judges hide is their God complex-based abuse of those in their courtroom. Other content on this channel evidences that lawyers who attempt to hold judges accountable are regularly threatened with disbarment or other similar proceedings. Courtrooms are merely a den of predators claiming honor. At the very least, judges are complicit in the terrorism of the American populace by the repeated endorsement and self-claim right of qualified immunity. Legislators have ignored, enabled, and are getting ready to further protect this predatory train of abuses. Think about it. The system that demands your accountability is immune from accountability. This scenario is a perfect construct of slavery. Meanwhile, people wave flags, oorah, and act as if nothing is wrong. A recent article by ACLU attorney Emma Andersson explains Supreme Court of the United States effectively allows police to shoot first and think later. That article is linked below and in the end credits. Anderson's article boldly and accurately claims, quote, Furthermore, it turns out the doctrine of qualified immunity has no legal basis in the first place. The courts simply made it up, so how can it possibly be justified?" End quote. This claim is supported by an exhaustive California Law Review publication by William Baud, published in April 2018, titled, "Is Qualified Immunity Unlawful?" It is linked below and in the end credits. Maud's article explains that qualified immunity is nothing more than a conjuration of the justice system. Qualified immunity is an extra and additional layer of self-defense for judges and law enforcement. They claim that they are above accountability while using a conjured and made-up right. They have elected themselves as God over the American people, and there is no one to hold them accountable. Well, except you. The effect of qualified immunity and the willingness of the judiciary to cover their own asses and the asses of law enforcement when injuries occur at their hands is a growing tension of anger which is reaching a boiling point. Put plainly, people are getting tired of being raped by honorable, murderous, egoistic bullies. People are getting tired of calling tyrants your honor and calling murderers heroes. And people are getting tired of believing that voting can change anything. Now add that the Supreme Court of the United States has empowered cops to lie to you, Fraser versus Cupp, 1969. Now add that cops have been given the conjured right of qualified immunity when shooting armed and unarmed civilians. And the final match that lights the fuse of the coming war between the populace and the powers? The Protect and Serve Act. The Protect and Serve Act prescribes 10 years to life for anyone to knowingly cause or attempt to cause serious bodily injury to a law enforcement officer. It's in process of becoming law. There is no exception built into the current version. Reflexively pull away from being grabbed, your ass is looking at 10 years. A cop tases your 6-year-old and you try to intervene, prison. And just like that, your right of self-defense is legislated away and their right of self-defense is fortified. So, cops already have the right to shoot first and think later. They already have the right to lie. Soon, if you so much as lift a finger against the aggression of a cop, you can be threatened with 10 years to life in prison. Question: are cops more likely to use or ignore a power that gives them the absolute right to ruin your life if you resist them? So soon, cops will have the power to do anything they want, and if you resist, at least 10 years in prison hang over your head. Surely you've noticed how cops are trained to start screaming, "Stop resisting!" This is to sell a jury on an allegation of resistance. This brings to mind a quote from the book Unintended Consequences by John Ross. The quote is, "The first one's expensive, but after that, they're all free." This quote is meant to reveal that they can only hang you once, and if you're going to be hung, it should be worth it. So the powers that be are actually structuring a scenario where resisting for any reason is a prison sentence. Logic would demand that I responsibly disclose that drawing down on a cop while they are already engaging you with force is stupid. It is also disclaimed that using any physical resistance against an occupying force that is highly trained is not advised. Our forefathers, however, did not follow this logic. The reason our forefathers did not follow the sensibility of avoiding resisting because of threat was because they observed the superior right of individual self-defense. Again, this is about the right of self-defense, the right of self-defense of the populace versus the right of self-defense of the occupier. Any cop, judge, legislator, or other bureaucrat that insists they have the right to enslave you or imprison you if you resist their unlawful acts is, by definition, a tyrannical occupier. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book David and Goliath, Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants, discusses a study by political scientist Ivan Aragon-Toft. Aragon Toft discovered that based on studying a 200-year window of wars between small and large forces, the small forces' odds of winning went from 28.5 to 63.6% when unconventional methods were used. And thus I predict that the next civil war will occur in those places where the motherfuckers are not ready to engage. The ones that conjured and those that claim qualified immunity are ready for conventional resistance. In fact, they couldn't be any more ready for someone resisting in a courtroom or when they are in uniform with a radio. What they are not prepared for are the endless possibilities that the mind can create in unconventionality. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Declaration of Independence.